shows for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatterspodcast1892@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Taste with you, well, you've gone sour. You want the world plus everything, but it won't work an hour. And now your questions are get creeping, and you go buying flowers. You throw away the dreams we had, boy. I won't allow it. I said we're gonna fall out. Let's see you get out. I think we're gonna fall out. Just shut your mouth.
Good evening, welcome along to NUFC Matters. It is the professionals on Sunday evening. Good evening, Stu. Good evening, Mitch.
Evening, Steve.
Good to see you. And coming off the back of another 3 points in the bag for Newcastle United against Burnley, a 2-1 win. I did predict 2-1 Friday, so I take the credit for that one. But yeah, it was wasn't the greatest of games, Stu. It was a bit fit and start. I mean, they came in with a game plan. Clearly, Scott Parker at the end of the match said that's the best they've played all season. So, for me, I'm happy. We got 3 points in the bag. It keeps the run going, and I struggle really when people start being critical when we're winning. I don't know what else you can do. You've won the game. Eddie wasn't happy. Yes, we nearly conceded a late goal, but we didn't. And, it's 3 points in the bag, a point behind Sunderland going into the derby.
Well, people were screaming for a rotation. You mentioned the derby there, Steve. That's clearly the priority. And Eddie Howe's now stopped mentioning one game at a time. He is looking at a bigger picture, which he's probably always done, but at least he's now admitting it publicly. Regarding the rotation, we are where we are. And the NUFC would prefer we didn't rotate, so we beat Burnley 4 or 5-0 and then get beat in Europe and then have a disaster against the Macums. You can't complain about rotation or ask for it and then complain about it. Was the result ideal? Yes. Was the performance? No. But ultimately, as you said, they got the 3 points. But again, consider we've got one nearly fit fullback who's been asked to play every minute because we don't have any cover for him. We've got one not up to speed left back. Like, that's a proper left back. Tadali's clearly not fit. Maley, if he'd played, it would be 3 games a week, 4 games in 10 days. Joe Linton, I'm getting concerned regarding him. I mean, he'll always give his all, but maybe he's peaked and he's on the downward side of his best. And I think Big Nick is clearly showing that these games are taking a toll on him. But again, there's no centre forward to play there unless you play Gordon out of position and everyone twists about that. We've got the Macums next week. It's a big game. Is Eddie Howe aware of it? Yes. Are the players aware of it? Yes. And I think yesterday was just a case of get the job done. And it's frustrating, not to the point where there's people throwing toys up the pram and stuff like that. It's frustrating when you're 2-0 up against 10 men against a team that's clearly going to get relegated. You would expect it to be 3, 4, 5-0 after that. And it probably could have been. But I think they were trying to save their energy, whatever way you do it. I just don't think we're game savvy enough to do that yet. And unless we're going full out, this is what happens, and this will come in time, but without twisting about PSR and stuff like that. You're right, we won the game. and it should have been more comfortable than it was. Yeah. But if you want to look at the bigger picture, it's 10 points in 12. If you look at those run of games, it was Man City at home, Everton away, Tottenham at home, Burnley at home, and out of those 3 games going into that after the West Ham and Brentford disasters, you'd think the only game you would be confident in saying would get 3 points from would have been yesterday. You know, I think had we got beat off Man City, it would have been expected, and it could have been one of those, valiant effort, but close but not close enough. Then you go to Everton. I don't think anyone was confident of winning at Everton apart from me and your dad, Mitch. But that's the same every week, to be fair. And then Tottenham at home, it was how we lost. Sorry, we didn't lose, but it's how we lost the victory with the manner of it. 2 shots on target, 2 goals. But how many times have we done that? How many times have we sneaked the result when we didn't deserve it? I go back to, was it last season, the season before? We drew at Palace and conceded a goal in the last minute, and we didn't even have a shot on target because Gage scored an own goal. That was last season, wasn't it? Yeah. So it does come swings and roundabouts, but it's not nice when you're on the receiving end. But ultimately, we've got 3 points, 10 points from 12. We're still not further up the league, and you'll have people saying, if we'd beat Tottenham, we'd be there. Had we beat West Ham, or had we beat Brentford, or 4 points from those games would be, this is exactly how it would be, but we didn't, and we're not. But there's clear signs of improvement, and there's clear signs of squad management. And I think going into next weekend, that is the game that the players are focused on. We are as supporters. I would take a 2-1 win next weekend and a 2-1 win this weekend than a 5-0 and a 1-1 or a 5-0 and a 2-1 defeat. You know, so for me, I think he's doing it right. There's no point in flogging dead horses, and we've been crying out for, you've got a squad, use it, and he uses it. Of course, people have to link and get used to each other again, and formations and position. But I think there was a lot of good yesterday. If you looked at things individually, Gordon played as well as he had in the league for a long time. Yeah. But he's still got a long way to go, because that's the bar he's set. So, but he has raised his recent levels, and hopefully something's clicked inside him. I thought Alanga was promising. It was great to see Wissa come on the pitch, because I do think Voldemort is on his knees now. I think he does need a break, or at least rested a little bit more. But I was really frustrated with Voldemort, because I know you predicted 2-1, Steve, and you had said 2-0, Mitch, didn't you? So you look at just the last minute, man, all you had to do was put a proper pass through to Alanga, and I'd got me 3-1. And it didn't. But ultimately, we won, and it's all as though, if they had done this at the very end, but yes, if they had, but they didn't. And as we've said before, if my granny had wheels, she'd be a bike. At the end of the day, we've actually won ugly, and we aren't that team that can break down this low block. And it was quite clear from the outset that they were coming to defend, and they didn't really have much ambition. All granted, the first 10 minutes, I thought they looked the ball forward and nearly had a bit of success. But after that, we had total control, and we nearly threw it away, but we didn't. And we've got 3 points. Now, if we get the same next weekend, and we're the ones that score in the last minute, then who's going to be complaining?
Yeah, exactly. I had an email from your dad today, Mitch. He said, question for the lads. Woke this morning, half rested and contemplating yesterday's win and questionable performance and what it taught us, if anything. I showered, but I still felt drowsy and unfortunately didn't notice I'd tucked a corner of the duvet into my belt. Halfway down the stairs, I realised I had a duvet as a train. As a lifelong teetotaler, can the boys say if I've got a hangover, or is it just a Leazes Park Burnley nightmare? Yours, War George.
By the way, it's Leazes, not Leazers. As I know you could talk about on Friday about some YouTube thing. It's Leazes. There's no R in it. It's Leazes, not Leazers.
There's no R in it. Yes, does not have an R in it.
Yeah.
Classic George. Well done, Dad.
What did you make of the game, Mitch?
Look, you take the 3 points and you move on, don't you? That's all you can do. Yes, there's a lesson you learned. Last 10 minutes was a bit brainless. So there's something else to work on, because I think the last 10 minutes, there's a few games this season have been a bit brainless, and I don't know where that's come from. That's something new in the psyche. But it didn't go wrong, and we took the 3 points. Yes, we should have won by more. 2-0 up against 10 men at half time and cruising, and we were cruising. And you'd think, okay, second half we're going to take advantage of this, and we didn't quite. So there's things to learn. I say, yes, he's rotated. Tell me what other options has he got at left back? And I see people saying, chuck young Murphy in there. Well, last time I saw young Murphy on a football pitch, he was slamming the ball into the top of our own goal in pre-season. And if he did that yesterday, you would be all over the kid like a rash. So,
unless they've got something twist about.
If Eddie doesn't think he's ready for the first team football, but he's okay to be on the bench in an emergency, fine. If Eddie thought he was a genuine rotational option at left full back, he would have been in.
We said it last week, Mitch. If Murphy, he couldn't get a game, and the week before, but he was on the bench when they needed a left back. So it's quite clear he doesn't fancy him. He is purely there making numbers up for emergencies. But you're right, we won. We didn't win 17 out. We didn't have a clean sheet, but for fuck's sake, man, we won. There's some sensitive people, isn't it? They're reactive.
There's things to be learned from that performance. Yes, 100%. There's things we could have done better and should have done better. But you take the points and you move on. We've got to be careful. We've got to be careful rotating players through. It comes back to 8 fixtures in December, and none of them are gimmies. Not a single one of them. And so what are you going to do? It's so frustrating. Yes, like I say, the last 10 minutes was brainless, and that irritated the life out of us.
Like a side note, Mitch, and I know that's something that's been covered mainly on the Amigos for a good few years now, but VAR, you won't get a more blatant red card, yet it took them 4 minutes. Yes. The penalty, the guys pushed you know what I mean? And they still took 4 minutes to decide if it was a penalty or not. I mean, what is going on with this? So that should be the main gripe. And the problem that Newcastle have got is when they try and defend, we know when we get further up the pitch, we do well. But when they make changes to try and hold up the lead, it's inviting the team on, and it bit us in the arse against Tottenham, and it might nearly have done yesterday.
I agree.
But that would have been daylight robbery yesterday. You don't sit back and let people attack. You get the ball and attack them. We had the Langer on the pitch. We had Reece on the pitch. They've got pace to burn. Just play a 4-4-2, not 5, whatever it is. Whack the ball in the corners and get the run after it. And we would have seen the game out easily.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that irritates me is when we try and shut the game down. We don't have the players who are able to shut the game down.
Yeah.
And just chucking an extra defender on doesn't seem to make a plain bloody bit of difference. In fact, it seems to create more chaos because there's more bodies in the box.
Something your dad's just said there, we need a new goalkeeper. And when I was watching it, I was scrolling through social media without commenting yesterday. The amount of people that pour about Ramsdale, we need Ramsdale. And Ramsdale's only in his, third game. It's not really a full run yet. And he hasn't made spectacular saves. He hasn't had that much to do, in fairness, in those 3 games. So, and he was the one that said, maybe was it 3 or 4 years ago, I have trouble concentrating. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, it's like, remember when you said, Mitch, some players become better when they're not playing, when they're out injured.
Yeah.
I give you Nick Pope. Now people want Pope back in after Pope out anyhow out if he doesn't drop him, and now all of a sudden Pope has to come back in. There's someone forgiving people out there. Like, ultimately, whoever is playing for us, we're not, with the greatest respect to players of the past, we're not Gary Megson standards. We have top quality players, and if they don't perform, as long as they're making the effort, that's what we support. But we have raised the bar as a team, as a squad, as a club, so much. Sometimes maybe they've run ahead of ourselves. The team's got ahead of our expectations, and just as we start expecting things, it comes and slaps us in the face again. And hang on, you're not as good as you want to be yet. but it will happen. And it's the phrase that we always use, like patience. I know Gary Barlow coined it, like, but we need to have a little bit of patience. And we're 10 points from 12. And I'll go back to that run of 4 fixtures. And it's easy for me to say these 4 fixtures because it suits my narrative. But if you think where we were as fans and supporters just before that international break, after they couldn't have been worse than they were against West Ham. Well, they tried their best to match it against Brentford, but we stand next to each other, Mitch. They tried to match it against Brentford. Realistically, you would expect it to beaten off Man City, probably Everton, a draw with Tottenham, and then would have asked for 4 points would have been normal. We end up with 10. Of course, we weren't prime Barcelona or Brazil 1970, but we've got 10 points, and the way the league is, 10 points out of 12, it's going to get you up and if it hadn't got you up the table, look at it, was it 3 or 4 points between 4th and 12th or something crazy like that. Yeah. You know, we win next week, we'll go above the Maccans, but that shouldn't be our goal. Our goal should be beating them, win next game, because we've got a squad and we've got players who are capable of doing that. And that's where something people get angry.
This season is going to be decided by somebody who can put a consistent run of results together. And it doesn't matter how those results come.
I'll give you Aston Villa. We talked about it last week.
And there are things that need improved on. There are lessons to be learned. To counter the point that was just on the screen there, I'm not being critical of fans, being critical of the performance. I'm critical of the performance. Like I just said, the last 10 minutes was brainless. Was bloody brainless. And there was no need for it.
Yeah.
But as long as we're learning lessons from that going forward, then there's things you can take home. The Ramsdale Pope thing for me, they're 2 very different keepers who bring very different things to the table. Clearly, Ramsdale's more comfortable with the ball at his feet, and the back 4 are more comfortable pinging the ball around with Ramsdale in the mix. But I also think he's equally as flappy on the evidence of the last 3 games. I've seen some curious punches and strange behaviours in the 6-yard box. It doesn't give us great confidence. And like Stu rightly says, he hasn't had actually that much to do, so we've not seen amazing shot stopping and things like that. I think that the next shout in the goalkeeping department has to be a genuine step up.
Yeah, Mitch, with the Ramsdale, unfortunately, we can't get to the game every time, so we get there 2 or 3 times a year. But the ones who are going, what we do have is the benefit of over here, we can watch every game live. And Ramsdale, when the cameras went on him, he looks nervous. He looks nervous, like he knows he's got to do well, and it's like he's putting too much pressure on himself. And I thought, for all this, he's going to be playing it out like Franco Baresi, with his feet. I thought at Tottenham, he wasted a lot of the ball. And if that had been Pope, he would have been hung from the back of the Gallagher. But he was better with his distribution yesterday, but that's only because Burnley had no ambition to press him. So maybe he's Nick Pope. Maybe Eddie Howe knows what he's doing, and that's why he's had Nick Pope as his number 1. And with Ramsdale to elevate Pope's performance. I think what happens with Pope is it's for some reason this season he's decided to punch the ball more than catch it. And that's led to mistakes, and that's led to nervousness. Yeah, I've just watched the Celtic Hearts game. Fantastic result. But we can't. We can because it's happening. These guys need our support. And we've said it many times, you can be someone's friend when things are going well. It's when they're not going well, you need to be the friend. So as supporters, if they're not doing well, but they're putting the effort in, get behind them. Because if you've got 50,000 people booing you every boot, imagine what Tottenham did to their keeper. They booed him every time he touched the ball because he made a mistake. That's no good for man the beast. So we are where we are with the 2 goalkeepers. Are we really going to get a world-class goalkeeper in Jarry that's going to elevate us? So no, whoever we've got now, and there's pros and cons for both. So leave it Eddie Howe to choose who he thinks best. And if you don't think it's right, Mitch, you might think it's right, Steve. If you don't think it's right, Steve, you might think it's right, Mitch. But it's what's best for the team. Ideally, if you could merge the 2 together, we'd have the keeper we want. But, we're not in some extraterrestrial world where we can start morphing people together. So if it's Pope, is it Ramsdale? They're both adequate keepers. They're both very good keepers, but they're not outstanding keepers. But as it is, Ramsdale's the keeper at the moment. So get behind them.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I would say as well. I'm going to move on to this email that I received last night from Ian McDonald. He says, "Hi, Steve. This isn't a message to say that I want Eddie Howe sacked, but could we have a conversation on the professionals, on the point that maybe he's a good coach but not a good manager? The coaching side of the job, he can't be challenged. He has improved nearly every player that is at the club. Jacob Murphy's an example. In my opinion, a decent championship player at best, now a consistent Premier League performer. But can we question his ability of managing the team as follows? Team selection, substitutions, motivation of players, no plan B, game management. His loyalty to players is sticking and as picking them all the time, even when they're out of form. The same loyalty when not selling certain players when they are clearly no longer part of the first team. Top managers need to have a ruthless side. Clough, Ferguson to name two. Eddie is young and he's still learning. Hopefully one day he will emulate the great managers of the past. If he doesn't, he'll have the same problems if he does eventually take over the England job." And that's from Ian McDonald. So what do you make of that, Stu?
Well, that's Ian's opinion. I think I've made my thoughts quite clear, probably on a weekly basis. I think sometimes we have to be careful what we wish for regarding how is he perfect? No. Is he infallible? No. Is he capable of making mistakes? Yes. But can he learn from his mistakes? Yes. Is he culpable of being too loyal at times? Yes. But at the same time, in Ian's email there, he's improved every player. Now, again, we've all got different opinions, so, and Eddie, I think he said it in his last press conference, he says, I'm the one that has to make the decisions. It's not, hopefully, we're nowhere near the stage, or we're not at the stage where the team gets picked by social media. Like Toon Bolts does a poll, who do you want at left back, who do you want at right back, and then that's the team that gets picked. So sometimes he'll get it wrong, but if you look at his win rate since he took over, if you look at the fact we were nailed on relegation without a win when he came in, and we comfortably stayed up, massively overachieved the year after. It was always going to plateau out, but we're plateauing out now, where we're seen as a top team within a short space of time in real terms. It's only like 3 years since the nigh on relegation season. But I know I've been guilty of being called a happy clapper or a loyalist or whatever, but who would you get instead? Who do you think that could do that with the limitations on the transfers? And again, I'll point to the fact that he had a 2-day holiday and that was him finished. Imagine you having no holidays for the amount of time he had to do and the workload he's had to take on and the mental fatigue he must have and stress, yet he doesn't complain. He keeps doing the best. And do it. Same as players, we don't just want players who try their best, like we don't just want managers who try their best. But where we are now, under the guidance of Eddie Howe to where we were, I don't think there's many other managers in world football that could have come in and achieved the body of work that he's done in that period. And like you say, now we're grumbling we're not beating Tottenham at home. We're grumbling that we've only just beat Burnley. No one grumbled when we beat Man City, but these results become the norm now. Beating and challenging what were the higher echelons that were light years away from where we were. We are evolving. And unfortunately, as I said, we're not thrashing teams like we can and we have done in the past and we're capable of, but he's trying to manage the full season now. And I think we're in the middle of a season-defining run. And one draw against Tottenham in those 4 games, even if we draw next week, which I don't think we will, that's not going to finish our season. It's see where we are at the end of this year, at the end of January, because that's where there's a lot of games in over the next 2 months. And if we can get through that, because of the squad rotation, because we've managed to get points when we haven't had to play our full strength 11, because I pointed to Aston Villa yesterday, and I managed to watch most of it. They were fantastic against Arsenal. They nullified a lot of Arsenal's threats, but so did we for 80 minutes. Yeah. But if you scratch the surface beyond the Aston Villa starting 11, there wasn't much left there behind it, mind. So we have a deeper squad than Aston Villa, and I think that's the first time in a long time we've been able to say that. So we are, although the league table doesn't show it, I think we're in a better position than where many think we are, but the proof will be in the pudding. So let's say we are at the end of January, because the table's now starting to form, although it's bunching up 2 or 3 games either way, 2 or 3 losses, 2 or 3 wins, and then the gap appears, and then it becomes psychological in the new year. But thankfully, we're not lingering around the bottom where we were before this run of 4 games. Take off those 10 points and see where we'd be. So we're actually moving in the right direction. Not as fast as everyone wants, but we are moving in the right direction. Keep that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. I mean, I did a little talk in with John Beresford yesterday for the Bulgarian Supporters Club. Toon Stato Andre was over, and he asked if I could arrange something. So I spoke to Bill Corcoran, went to the Irish club, and Bez basically said verbatim what you just said, Stu. And everybody respects what Eddie Howe did. He says, in my view, he says the next statue that will be built outside the ground will be of Eddie Howe. He said, because that's the kind of influence he's had on this football club. He said, Kevin was great. He said, Sir Bobby, there's already a statue. He says, Sir Joe Harvey's already got, a plaque outside the ground. He says, but, he says, there will be a statue to Eddie Howe. He says, make no bones about it. He says, the guy's won a trophy. And he respects him. And I think we all can say, yes, Eddie might do this and might do that and whatever. But, the proof of the pudding is there. Bez always felt that they would bring Eddie in for a couple of seasons and then they would bring a bigger name manager in. They said, but what did he do? He kept us up. Then what did he do? He got us into the Champions League. Then what did he do? He got us into a cup final. Then what did he do? He got us into another cup final and he won the bloody thing. Then what did he do? He got us back in the Champions League. So this guy he's still learning. He's still quite a young manager, but he's still got a hell of a lot of experience as well. And he's got the kind of experience that is very hard to get because he's been in all the divisions. He's gone from the bottom to the top. And, and now he's actually won a trophy. And it's no wonder England, would be keen on him. But, I think they've got a good manager at the helm at the minute, Tuchel. And I don't expect Tuchel to go anytime too soon. So I think Eddie at Newcastle is an ongoing project, which I think unless something drastic happens, then I can't see Eddie leaving. And I'm all for that. And, let's have have a reality check. We aren't performing to the best of our ability, and Eddie's held his hand up and he's admitted that. But at the same time, like we've just said, that's a hell of a points return for not playing well. 10 out of 12. We've been here before under Eddie Howe, and then when he does get it right, boy, he gets it right. So I'm confident. Got some, as you've already said, Stu, got some huge games coming up over the next few weeks, and the league table could look a lot different. We could be into another semi-final in the League Cup. And we could be into the playoffs stage of the Champions League. A bit of luck, we could be in the next stage of the Champions League. But it's such a great positive season so far. But yeah, performances haven't been the same. But yeah, questioning Eddie Howe, we're always going to get questions like this. Ian put it across in a nice way, Mitch.
Yeah, and there's absolutely no manager above question. There's absolutely no manager is infallible. And the people who say, well, Eddie, he's got his favourites and he sticks to his guns and it's his way or no way. But what you could also say that about is Brian Clough, Don Revie, Alex Ferguson, Sir Bobby Robson, Kevin Keegan. The list goes on. I think we're also seeing, and Captain Hindsight is such a wonderful costume to put on in a situation like this. There's been more going on behind the scenes than we've realised. At Newcastle United that he's also had to be dealing with. Still nobody held their hands up and said who was actually responsible for the PSR debacle. That saw players sold that he didn't want sold. Still nobody has held their hands up and said who made some of the decisions over the summer while Isaac was digging were around. And while Liverpool were up to shenanigans. And he's had all that going on in the background too. And never once has he come close to chucking somebody under the bus for that. It takes a lot of integrity to do that. It will be easy, I think, now in particular, with new people in place, to point fingers and chuck people under the bus. and garner a little, curry a little bit favour with the fan base. So what was me is that I've had to deal with this. It was terrible. That would be a very easy out and a very unnoble out for that matter. He's had questions asked of him. We've asked questions of him, for God's sakes, plenty of times. But every time we've asked the questions, there's been answers given. And he still affords that I don't want to call it a luxury. He still affords the dignity of being able to answer those questions. And when he runs out of answers, that's when his number will be up. And so there's plenty going on, and there's still plenty to work on, and he admits that. Listen to the post-match interviews over the last couple of weeks. So I think, there's nobody's ever above question, and you criticise where it's due, and you question where, like I say, I still question the last 10 minutes of that game yesterday. That was so frustrating. But at the same time, we've got 3 points and move on, and that's all that matters. History's not going to stick in the Rothmans yearbook for next season, a little asterisk, and say 2-1 to Newcastle, but they were really shite in the last 10 minutes, by the way. No, there's no footnote like that. It is what it is. And I think going forward, we now have some sort of semblance of everybody pulling in the same direction and potential for a longer term stability, which I think from the point of the project we're at, that's what we need from a playing perspective. And then we can make integrated, joined up thinking type decisions and plan better with what we've got.
Good question. Thank you to Ian for his email. Don't forget, if you want to join the debate or get us to debate something on here, there's your email, nufcmatters1892@gmail.com. John Richardson has said a huge thank you. He says, "Dear Steve, a huge thank you from me to Mitch, Steve, Hasty and George, and of course yourself for covering the stadium topic this week on your show. The fact you all took the time to watch the video was quite humbling, as I know that each of your time is precious and you must be inundated with such requests. The guys were brilliant, bringing balanced views. I learned something from each of their responses. For example, I had no idea the council had the authority or power to amend or indeed override the listed building status. George's knowledge is quite frankly astounding on so many subjects. He never ceases to amaze. I always enjoy listening to Steve H, not just because he's an old Etonian like myself, but because I'm sure he said he worked at the ministry, perhaps in the Benton offices many years ago, and most of my family worked there for years in the 60s and 70s. As for Mitch, well, he's unique as well, always knowledgeable and always entertaining. Good news, last week I was fortunate enough to win a ballot ticket for the Fulham match, and I've got a seat in the Gallagher end for the quarter-final. An early Christmas present. That's my second ticket for the season, having won one for the home game against Liverpool, which of course was a cracker. So I feel very, very lucky indeed. My place in the queue for the ballot when I logged in to register at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 hours after the opening time, was 157,368. That's a staggering number for a cup game. I have been a member for years, way before the takeover, and I've never seen numbers like that, normally around the 70,000 mark. The fact I got a ticket must mean that they do randomise the entries in some way after all. Keep up the good work. Kind regards, John Richardson. Thanks for your email, John, and pleasure to discuss that. And Stu, just to give you your say, I guess you did catch up with the amigos, I think, and you heard our chat about the Tyneside live video. What did you make of it? And what did you make of the lads' opinions on Friday?
Well, I'm normally in agreement with the lads' opinions regarding the video. I think it was good of Eddie to bring it back in the public domain and get people talking about it again. But there was a lot of, I don't want to sound too critical because it's petty, but a lot of things that were just recycled and reset again. A couple of things. Oh, by the way, I won the Euro Millions. I've now got £140 million in the bank. So the point I'm making there, Steve, is just because something said on YouTube doesn't mean it's true.
Okay.
I would be staggered if the club have not reached out to the council, as was suggested. That would be saying that they haven't done their proper due due diligence and they haven't tried the correct channels. And believe me, without saying I know Saudis, blah, 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 well, I've just said it. For sure, they would have looked at every eventuality, and there's things in there's processes that need to take place. But I took not from the video, but I took more from what the CEO said, what David Hopkinson said was, and again, it's how we look at it, it's a glass half full, glass half empty. But I took it as like, he didn't say, there's not going to be a new stadium. He's in every job, that's it. And there was, because that sounds negative. Let's make some YouTube videos out of this and get some clicks and get some likes. He was saying it's not happening now, but he didn't say it wasn't going to happen. And he also did say, which a lot of people have forgot, and then they want to highlight, they're going to be the best club in the world in 5 years. Right? How dare you have ambition? But he didn't say we will be the best. They want to be one of the best. And if you've got owners who are wanting to improve, we've talked about the PAF on the sidelines before, but yesterday it was Saudia that was on when they interviewed the manager and the players at the end. Saudia seems to have sneaked in there and a bit more prominent now. Who's giving that money? Whenever there's an advertising gap, and I know Mitch has highlighted this previously, they're putting the money in. But the one thing I took from there was when Hopkinson had said, I would be shocked if we don't have a training ground sponsor, a training kit sponsor by next year. He did everything but point the finger at the previous incumbent who had the rule to do such a thing. And my opinions on that have been made more than clear nigh on a weekly basis. But getting back to the Tyneside Live video, highlights it, but also it's used regularly for sporting activities, daily for sporting activities. Unless catching rats is a sport, then I can't see many people going to Lees's Park and, let's have a family picnic there. So I don't know if it was aimed at people who are from Newcastle or to get a broader viewership, I suppose. But Lees's Park for years has been on its feet and needs a massive urge of regeneration. And just to get clear about the council have the right to downgrade listed things. The park's graded, that's the council's opportunity to downgrade that because that's their choice. And they're doing a good job of just leaving it as it is, not downgrade itself anyway. But the buildings behind, Lees's Terrace behind the East Stand, that's the National Trust, and that's the heritage, that's different. That's the government that created that as a Grade 2 building. So there is, rightly, they're both listed, but by different people. And without sounding too looking for headlines, I think if certain people in the council were given, shall we say, favours of certain sorts, then the process would move a lot more smoother. But they understand that they need to get sponsorships in. They understand that they need to create revenue to make the club where they want to be. But also, he said that the PF's Newcastle is one of the PF's favourite investments. Keyword there, investment, because that's what we are. We're supporters, we're passionate, we're fans. It's an investment for them. But how many times have we highlighted on this platform? Look at the chairman's eyes when he's in the ground and he looks around. He loves it and he loves his sport, whether that be mainly golf, that's his main sport, but he loves coming to St. James. He loves what we're achieving, and it's in his body. It's in him. It's in his psyche to make sure that everything he touches becomes the best, and they want Newcastle to be the best. And again, not as fast as I want them to be, or anyone else watching this wants them. We want to be number one now, but there's restrictions and there's playing it by the rules. But things might change. Things are changing. The PSR is going to go, and if we can get some sponsorships in, which the CEO has alluded to that we will be doing, that will give us more scope. And with PSR finishing, we can start spending money in January when other teams can't.
It's a good disclaimer from Jules. NUFC Matter does not endorse secret meetings with brown paper bags.
Quite right.
Good stuff. Can I just take this opportunity to plug the book again? You can see the ticker tape along the bottom. Order the promoter and the photographer book. Bez, when I met him yesterday, kindly signed some more cards for the charity, which was great of him. So I've got some more signed John Beresford pictures, which will accompany the book if you buy it today.
Did you ask him how he enjoyed himself across the air in Dubai?
He couldn't remember, was his honest opinion. He genuinely couldn't remember, but he had a cracking time, and he said he'd do it again in a heartbeat. I think he's going to go to Bulgaria next as well, which would be great.
That could be Steve Hasey's response from yesterday, by the way.
Yeah. He's the messages from Steve Hasty yesterday were sublime. So he's had a good time. But yeah, please get your promoter and photographer book. All proceeds go into charity. And can I just thank again? I did thank on Friday, but this is our second most watched or sometimes top most watched show of the week. So I will thank United Group Travel. Met Bev yesterday to get the check for Age UK North Tyneside, and brilliant stuff. They've basically done a couple of raffles on the bus, and they've raised 600 quid, which I am passing on to Sonia at the charity. And a big thanks to James McTurnan, who I bump into on a regular basis pre-match. Good pal of mine, known him for years, black and white through and through, and he's a good lady. And they gave me a tenner just towards the charity after. They watch the show all the time, but they gave us a tenner yesterday in the club. Big thanks to them. And once again, thanks to Alan and Mozza, who put up the Sandro Tonali pick on Friday. And Denise, thank you to you in the chat. You bid the 60 quid. So all in all, over the weekend, at least 670 quid going to Age UK, North Tyneside Dementia. And once again, thanks to United Group Travel. If you want to book a trip for next year, unitedgrouptravel.com, 01670 632 460 or 0791 666 4174. And you're going to hear that all again on the ads. A big thanks to our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website, mrvickys.co.uk. Email info@mrvickys.co.uk. Telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. They've just announced their 2026 tours. 2 crew, driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels, no interchanges, hot, cold snacks and drinks available on the coach, all excursions included. Website is unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. It's just £30 per person deposit. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. If you enjoy listening to the podcast, you can try us on Sports Social, and that is Sports Social Podcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes or Spotify or wherever else you listen to your podcasts. Big thanks as well to Media Art for all the technical side of things. If you want to become a member, you can join as a YouTube member by hitting the join button underneath the video. Don't forget as well, subscribe to the channel. It's free. We still do 7 shows a week. Hit the like button, which is the thumb up, and share it to your other social media. If you'd like a badge, a pen, a key ring, and a coaster and a membership card, then you just need to go to our website, nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk, and you can become a member of NUFC Matters via the link on our website. Got a couple of events to tell you about. Beardsley, Waddle and Gascoigne are together at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House. That is the 13th of February 2026. Gibbo is comparing. You can get your tickets from the box office at the theatre or give them a ring on 0191 243 1171. In January, Supermac and Gibbo are teaming up together at the Tyneside Irish Centre to raise money for the North Tyneside Age UK Dementia sector. And your tickets are £19 from voucher, or you can buy them direct from the website, nufcmatters.co.uk. Peter Beardsley will be with Joe Allen on the 30th of January, again for Age UK North Tyneside Dementia. And tickets are available for £29 on voucher or from nufcmatters.co.uk. We're also raising money for Age UK North Tyneside Dementia with another Blake 7 convention, Saturday the 1st of August, 10 till 4. Tickets are £20 for standard, £75 for VIP. And you can get them again from our website. And a couple of stocking fillers for Christmas. The Entertainers by Will Scott. We've got 10 copies signed by Warren Barton, again from the website. My book, The Promoter and the Photographer, written by myself and Andy Thompson. All proceeds going to the dementia sector of Age UK North Tyneside. You can get them again from www.nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk. And I have stuck the link in the chat. There's the signed Beresford card, which we'll stick in with the book. So, try and get that sorted if you can over the next day or two, folks. Do it tonight if you can. I'll do a post office run tomorrow before I head to Germany. But please do it. Don't forget as well, the Bladen Races Fella Male Voice Choir single is only 79 pence. You can download that wherever you stream your music. And you can also do that's a nice donation to Age UK as well. So please do that if you can. Okay, and happy birthday to Mickey, who has emailed us today just to say that he enjoys the show. And from his perspective, the Professionals is his favourite, he says. So thank you, Mickey, for that. And congratulations to Alanga. Him and his lass had the Ben, and all is fitting well. And I still reckon that's had a big part to play, not just in him, settling in the area, but anyone who's having their first child. It's a difficult period for anybody. Even a footballer, I'm afraid. Footballers are human beings. I still think that'll have had a big part to play. I think there'll be a big relief in his household now. He'll probably have a few sleepless nights to worry about next. So, but just delighted for him, and congratulations to him. Well, I've had a few questions come in the chat, and as you know, I do try to be fair to everybody and try and get a few things in. We'll go with Steve's first. Lads, I've just finished the book by Gary Sherrard, NUFC, The Wilderness Years, 78 to 84. One thing that came up that I'd forgotten, do you remember the Indian war cry, particularly at Lively Games? Yeah, he used to sit in these stand, lads, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, aye. And it's only when it gets mentioned that you cast your memory back and start, I remember that. Like so many things, you talk about the smell of the breweries, which you don't get now, obviously. But it seemed to be like part of the furniture, didn't it? At some stage it would happen, and not just once in a game. It was sometimes it was a few times in the match. It's part of the mystique, and when you reminisce, it's because we still think that when most of us stood in the Gallagher, you think the rest of the ground was empty because everyone seemed to stand in the Gallagher, but we did. But there was the camaraderie there. There's not that now. I was reading today. Someone got told to sit down for the penalty. And then these are the same people that are watching on TV saying there's no atmosphere. It's football's emotion. It's not the theatre. You go there and it's passion, and that's what we're famed for. I know there's many passionate fan bases out there, but we are up there with the best of them in this country. But look at that, man. That's just class, that picture, isn't it?
Well, that's actually me on the bottom right. Wearing me fingerless gloves and me denim jacket with hair.
I see.
That is me.
You haven't got your Mickey Quinn tash on, though, have you?
No. But that was sent to me by somebody who had been on this page and went, "Is that you?" And and that's me mate John, who I used to stand with at each game. And further along next to us would be a guy called Eric, who had a stutter, but always used to have his radio. He had a flat cap. He had a stutter. And he used to give us the half-time scores. Those were great days. I don't care what anybody says. Fantastic time.
Job you would a Kilmarnock fan then, isn't it?
Yeah. I got sent these. I got sent these as well. Just thank you. I know because people do know that I love these kind of things, and anyone who follows us on Twitter and is on our Facebook page will have noticed that I've started loading a few of the games from the Big Match Live. Some great games, and I've tagged a few of the ex-players in. Kevin Carr's delighted because he's not seen all of these games for years, so he's been reminiscing with me as I've been sharing them on my Facebook page. But
is that the game against Sunderland when Scott Sellers scored? That's where I think that picture was taken.
This one,
aye. I reckon it was when it was pouring with rain and they had to get that machine that looked like something from the Teletubbies to drain the water off the pitch so we could play. And Sellers scored.
Yeah,
looked like that.
6 was in the Gallagher corner, wasn't it?
Aye.
Yeah. I mean, the fences as well. When you look at the fences, it's amazing to think back to that. It's, amazing. And the toilets and the T-tank, the toilets always get a mention. And I think everybody misses the scoreboard and the little jumping men, Roger. The one we've got at the minute is could do with putting them back on. Just retro jumpy up and down men when we score a goal. And the picture of that used to come onto the goal scorer that used to look like everyone looked the same. Mickey Quinn, Mark McGee, John Gallagher, they all look the same on that scoreboard. Okay, let's get to another question. Stephen,
Sorry, Steve, when you talk about the scoreboard, I remember one time, you'll have to find the year, because it was they gave the Grand National results out, and they said the winner was Liverpool Bear, and it was actually a horse called Little Polvier that won it, but it come up on the scoreboard, Liverpool Bear had won the National. But whoever's watching and got time for Google, see what year Little Polvier won the National. That come up on the scoreboard. First was the Liverpool Bear.
People in their match ripping up their bloody Ladbrokes betting slips and then having to try and piece them back together after that.
Remember, there were mobiles then, so probably just get it on the phone. And the winner was Liverpool Bear, Little Polvier, and it sounded like Liverpool Bear, so they put it up on the Minery scoreboard.
Scoreboard. Yeah, thank you, David. He said, great seeing those matches, Steve. Take away from me was goalkeepers catch rather than palm away to punch shot. Yeah, and in some of the other ones, David, was the fact that goalkeepers weren't wearing gloves in some of those 1970s ones that I put up. So we've got plenty more to come. Obviously, I can't put anything up from after they got back into the Premier League because that's all just copyrighted and you can't do that. But with these ones, you can. Mozza said, Steve, we've enjoyed those. I was able to share one with my old school friend as her now husband was in one and she didn't know him then, gave their family a laugh. Oh, very good. Excellent stuff. And I will read this email out as well because, like as I said, we do encourage you to email us. And there was one that I got sent. We were talking on Friday night about the peanut seller. And somebody kindly emailed in, was Peter Stott. He says, I've heard people talk about the peanut seller. His name was Arthur Slater. He lived 2 doors away from me in Mortimer Avenue, New Biggin Hall. I've got older brothers, and sometimes he would get them into the game saying they were helping him. After him, it was a lad called Alfie, but I don't know his second name. But he used to go for a drink in the Wester Hope Excelsior Club and also the Comrades Club. When he came into the club, people would shout, Alfie Peanuts! Both passed away now, but I thought I'd just put the name to their faces. Love the shows, best chat and insight without any drama, just honest fans' opinions. Thank you to everyone who takes part.
Yes.
Thank you, Peter Stott. Much appreciated. But that's great. And then when we were chatting with the guys from United Group Travel yesterday, they were telling us a story. They didn't mention Arthur, but they mentioned Alfie, I think. So, amazing stuff. And I think it was Alan and Mozza were saying that he never dropped the bat. He never dropped the Tanner. Tanner used to get chucked at him for the peanuts, and he never dropped one. So he never
could have been a world darts champion, shouldn't he?
We could do him in goal now. I think if he didn't drop anything. Remember the old, we're going down memory lane now. Remember the old guy who was mascot with a black and white suit and top hat? Yes, there's a few of them as well. And the pre-match American big band marching, we had it all, didn't we? We had Alsatians running on the pitch, jumping through hoops. We had the local bands, the colliery bands, and the girls' jazz bands going around. We had everything.
Even before the game or before the start of the second half, we used to greet the keeper, the opposing keeper, with a round of applause. Only to get it. He clapped up.
Stephen Duncan, with a name like that, it's no wonder you're cracking jokes like this. He says, when the peanut seller sneezed, it was always a cashew.
Very
good. Stephen Kennedy wants to know if we've sold have we been sold a pig in a poke with Jake and Ramsey? He seems more of a hindrance than a help, or could it be that he's over trying and rushing things? I mean, we've already spoke about Elanga, Ramsey and Willock yesterday. It's always about opinions. Somebody said to me, Willock had a good game. I think you mentioned it earlier on as well. Maybe you thought I didn't. I just thought both of them were fairly anonymous. I think Willock was probably trying to do the work that. Willock was probably doing the work that Sid Longstaff probably did. So I wasn't fully focused on him. I was watching other players more than I was watching Willock yesterday. I did watch a bit of Ramsey. He's pretty on the ball. I just think he's, we can't expect these players to suddenly get what Newcastle are doing overnight, him and Elanga. I was watching Alanga a lot yesterday. I felt, and I was watching Gordon a lot because I have been quite critical of him, with my mates and a little bit on this channel. But those two I was watching quite a lot yesterday. And I thought they both had. Alanga had an okay game. I think he's developed him a lot more. His first touch he still needs working on. I still think he's rushing things which normally would take his time on. I still think he'll benefit more when Wissa's fully fit. But Gordon had a great game. I fully agree with that. I thought with Ramsey, Stu, I think he plays some neat football. He doesn't. He's one of these players who I think will come good. But at the moment, I think we've got so many options in midfield. It's difficult to pick them out at the minute. We've got so many people in midfield who, do the work and score the goals. I think Ramsey is struggling at the minute to fit in, but I don't think we've been sold a pig in a poke. I think he'll come good.
If you look at it, for one reason or another, he's never had a consistent run of games, and this is what people need. And it's my main concern about Wissa. The ones who said we shouldn't sign him, he's too old, etc. I'm hoping to do it. He doesn't get weighed down with expectation, but with Ramsey, he's never been a player that's going to go past 3 or 4 players and then bang it in the top corner. You know what I mean? But he's tidy without being outstanding, and maybe because he's changing system to how Villa play, to how we play, he's like, okay, it might take a bit of his natural flair away where he wants to go on, but then he's got the manager's words in his ear saying, no, don't give it away, don't lose it, be practical, be pragmatic. And sometimes it takes players longer than others. Ideally everyone hits the ground running, like Chow has, but I don't think Chow's been outstanding for the last 2 games either, but I will out to criticise him. I think sometimes we need to look at the positives, bring Bruno into the conversation, who was very indifferent last year, hot and cold. He's now on course to get double figures. When was the last time we had a midfielder who did that? But Ramsey is a squad player. He's never going to be a starting player consistently for Newcastle United because that's not where we want to be. But he is a player who can come in and do a job at a certain period of time. And I don't understand why being critical. We've just talked about, Steve, the pictures like we showed and people reminiscing. There was players there that were proper, sorry for the terminology, proper shite, but they were ours, and we backed them. You imagine like John Cornwell going in for challenge or Sweeney, whoever, John Bailey. Look at some of the left backs we've had over the years. But they were ours, and as long as they put the effort in. But now the effort's not good enough because we've raised to where we want to be, our expectations levels raised. Ramsey's a decent player, and he's a decent squad player, and he's coming back from an injury. He's finding his feet, finding his teammates, and I think he'll come on strong in by the second half of the season. But will he start for Newcastle every game? No. Have we been sold a pig in a poke? I'd say definitely not. I think he is a great player, and I think once he's got the confidence and more importantly has the support of the crowd, he might be able to express himself a bit better.
What do you reckon, Mitch? Will he come good?
Well, I thought he looked great the first half against Leeds.
Yeah, he was.
He picked up that ankle injury and that set him back.
Yeah, he's mentioned that. Eddie Howe's mentioned that, hasn't he?
So he's sort of haven't really had a chance to see much of the best of him. I think he brings something that we don't have, an ability to link midfield with forwards. He keeps it simple so he doesn't look outstanding. I think yesterday's decision-making at times was a little bit poor. But, didn't we have these conversations about Hall and about Gordon when they first arrived?
Yeah.
Give it time.
Yeah, give it time. We've had another email.
It takes players at least 6 months to get their head around what Eddie wants out of them, the level of intensity that's expected of them, and there are very few players who've been able to be just dropped straight into that system. I tell you who's done amazingly because he's had to, is Walter Marder.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I think he's performed way above what you could have expected him to, but that's because he poor bugger had no choice.
Yeah, very true.
And I think Elanga, definitely there's been stuff going on, in the background, which has probably not helped him settle. I thought yesterday in the first half he looked great, and then faded. And again, a couple of poor decisions. But is he still getting his head around what's expected of him and in what situation? So I'm happy to be patient with them at the minute and not get too head up. And I think with Ramsey, what we need to see is a run of games where he's in and out in terms of rotation, where he could make an impact off the bench, and most importantly for me, stay injury free.
Yeah, that's the key. Staying fit, really. Like to see what Voldemort does against Bayer Leverkusen. I think we all would, Tom. Another email came in from Lee Grogan. He says, "Hi, Steve and George. I hope you're both well." George is in the chat, so you'll be able to hear this. "I'm a long-time listener of the channel and a big fan of George and his stories. I've long been curious of whether George knew my granddad. His name was James Little and went by the name of Jimmy. He played for Newcastle until quite a senior age, although never made a first-team appearance. He was from Gateshead, originally Felon, but later moved to Wardley. Would be great to know if he does or if he had any stories about him. Thanks, lads, and kind regards." So there you are, George. I'll leave that with you. And I'm sure you...
Idea for a T-shirt there, Steve. George knew my granddad.
Yeah, that's it.
I'd be surprised if he didn't, knowing your dad.
Aye.
Stephen's looking ahead to the derby next week. He says, "With the fact that Blunderland have got a squad full of newbies, do you think they'll be impervious to the usual angst that derby day brings? If so, are we the team that could end up with 10 men? Of course, this is the match that's on everyone's lips. The countdown started. Newcastle winning 2-1, Sunderland losing 3-0, Lugo 9 getting sent off. The two key midfielders for them getting subbed on 70-odd minutes to avoid getting that yellow card, which would have ruled them out. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of talking done between now and Sunday. My feeling on this, Stu, is very simple. Our lads have played in this game. Their lads haven't played in this game. Most of our team, with the exception of the new signings this season, have all been part of a Derby Day squad. The likes of Gordon, the likes of Joe Linton, the likes of Bruno, the likes of the younger players in the team as well, Lewis Miley and all that. They've all been there, part of it, and seen it, and they know what it's all about. I think we've got the advantage as far as that's concerned. I think the pressure is on them. They're at home. They're expecting to give us 1,000. If they don't score that first 20 minutes, the crowd down there turn. They always turn. So I'm not as nervous as some people are, and I always enjoy Derby week. I really do. I really do. I love it. So what's your feelings on this?
Right. It's like what I mentioned before when I referenced me and Mitch and many others who have moved abroad. Sometimes we can take a more pragmatic view of it and more balanced view of it. And you're saying, "Oh, their players haven't played in it, and their players are this," and that could work in our favour. Well, work in our favour to a man. Our players are better than theirs, and it's down to the attitude. And if our attitude's right, which I fully believe it will, all roads have led to this game for Newcastle United, and we've got players who are used to the Champions League, international players, and it lows me to say this because I've resisted all season, but you have to give credit to Sunderland for what they've achieved so far.
100%.
But they will, and I think is sure as cheese goes on chips, their season will fizzle away. But even if they finish 16th, it's a successful way to start it off and what was expected, the turnover of players, etc. And the worst news of the weekend for me was Luke Nine getting sent off because he was a red card waiting to happen next week. And he would have been. But I think it is their cup final. It's a big game for both of us as well. But without sounding too arrogant, we are light years ahead of them. I know they'll look at the table, mind the gap. And that's not going to happen. But we're not living in Tyneside. or working with Mackems. So that part I do miss, the banter, the build up to it, and how it goes. I really do miss that. But looking ahead to the game next week, I honestly believe you can't force feelings. You know, the local staff will tell them, "Oh, this is our big game. This is our big game." The fans will be feeling it. And you're right, Steve. If we go there with the right mentality, our players, man for man, are better than us. And I think we'll play the game and they'll play the occasion. And that nervous energy of them, it'll tie them out. We could pass them to death and be 2-0 up by half time. And that's when you start seeing the red cards. Like I say, unfortunately, Luca Nine's not playing. But I've always been confident and comfortable that we would beat them, or we will beat them next week. And nothing I've seen has changed. And if we want to bring up the recent form and the form goes out the window, but if we bring up recent form, look at our 10 points out of 12 to I think they're on 5 or something like that. But they've had tough games, but so have we. But one-off game against them, I'm reticent to say that they will thrash them, but I'd be shocked if we don't beat them. Once the game settles down, that's when we need to stamp our authority. That's when we need, and for sure, injury. Well, with the exception of injuries, we will play our 3 favoured midfielders because they have the know-how, they have the knowledge, and I'd be very surprised if we're not going for pace down the wings. And if you're doing that, and then you can start bringing, and you've got the full-backs, and that's why they're being rotated. That's why you're being rested. This game should put who's going to be the Northeast #1 to Christmas to bed, and I'm so confident that we'll win. And I don't want to be overconfident, but I haven't seen anything. Yes, they've got Endeavour, but that'll only get you so far. And I think they've peaked, but hugely overachieved to what the expectations were. But coming into this game now, I honestly think, not that we'll wipe the floor with them, that'll be disrespectful, but I'm confident that we'll put in a mature professional performance and beat them comfortably. And I think, as you said, Steve, that first 20 minutes will nullify them. But imagine we just get one. We go for the throw and go for the jugular instead of sitting back and allowing them to get themselves excited because they've rugby hooked the ball into their touch and they're near the corner flag. We pass the ball around them, use our quality, and if we match them for the Endeavour, the cream will rise to the top. And I'm so confident that we'll win next week.
Yeah, I mean, Mitch, I'll come to you. We'll be looking at the Sunderland game a little bit later in the week, of course, on the Amigos. But yeah, I mean, it's already starting to heat up, isn't it? And yeah, I enjoy it. I do enjoy the build-up. I've got to be honest. I
don't. Not one little bit. Not one little bit, and I never have, and I never will. But Stu says quite rightly, you deserve a lot of praise for bringing in a lot of players and making it work and making it click. They've managed that squad reasonably well and they've fought for every single point they've got. And that's what we have to match.
Yeah.
Because if we match that, the class is only in one squad. And that should then win out. I think the manager's shown this season he's quite shrewd. What they did with changing the size of the pitch to limit certain throws and things like that, that's smart. That's absolutely smart management. There's no doubt about it. And they've come a long way this season. I watched them play Burnley, funnily enough, early in the season, and they got thrashed off Burnley. They still looked like there was 30 points between them. And so to see what they've then gone on and done is quite impressive, really. For me, it's all about matching the desire, matching the passion, matching that level of work rate. Because that's what they've done this season, is they've worked hard. Everything I've seen of them this season has just been all about work rate and an ability to push to 96, 97, 98 minutes. And that's where we have to match them.
You know who they remind me of, Mitch? If you go back a few years when Hull got promoted and there was little to no expectation of them, they were meant to get relegated. They come up through the playoffs. It was it Phil Brown, the manager, but everyone will remember Jimmy Bullard. And the start of the season, just similar to Sunderland, getting results they shouldn't have got, and they were in a position far higher than what anyone, even including their own fans, expected. But they got enough points on the board to stay up that season. Like they got them on early doors, like similar up to before Christmas. And then it's a long season, and quality eventually does take over, as we said before. And Endeavour will only get you so far. But Hull got relegated the season after quite comfortably as well. But when we play them next week, I honestly, and I'm probably hopefully I'm not setting myself up for a big fall, but it's probably the most relaxed I'll be going in a derby, because I think they'll burn themselves out mentally before a ball is kicked. And if we do score first and score early, as you said, Mitch, that stadium, that set of fans, because it's everything to them, it can turn pretty quickly, can't it?
Yeah. 2 Howgans in a row. That would be good. But I'll settle for a 1-0 off somebody's backside, to be honest, as long as we beat them. John, you're right. Made me laugh this. Remember when Swan Hunter used to advertise at the back of the stand? He says, I always wondered who in the crowd was like to buy a frigate. Dave says, off topic, but changing the pre-match music hasn't worked. I mean, obviously, I can speak about this because I'm at the games. The lads obviously haven't had that opportunity yet this season. But it is a bit strange, Dave. It is a bit strange. It's a bit haphazard. I tell you what my pet hate is. I don't like it at all. Either of the announcers, Rob Byron is sharing the duties with somebody, but they both do it. And when they announce the team, it grinds on us when they go, Bruno! I hate it. It's awful. Stop it. The Blade and Races version's naff. I'd much rather they picked a much better version of the Blade and Races. And it is weird hearing the Blade and Races playing whilst the team's on the pitch all lined up to take the kick-off. I just find that bizarre. But, listen, the club are taking advice off people. Who they're taking on advice, I'm really not sure.
Well, again, there's your biggest question, Steve. Who are they talking to? They talk a big game about consultation, and they've got a lovely little hand-picked fab. Who's advising what way? Because it's obviously not working.
I don't know. I do know there has been conversations in the past with, the football hierarchy.
You missed an opportunity. You should have went, I do know.
I hate it. T-Tank, I hate it. I bloody do. It's awful. But yeah, I do know that there was the playlist, for example, when the warm-up was going on. I think there'd been a request made from like the management, the football management, I think, for certain songs and volume levels. So I think that's fine, because if that's what Jason Tyndall and whoever the coach and staff on the pitch are wanting to do, and they don't want maybe little tactics being picked up by the opposition team, I think that's great if that's why it was the case. But I just genuinely think moving forward, I mean, look, the club can't consult everybody on everything, but yeah, it's a bit like Alan Robson used to say, make some noise, didn't he? Or something like that. And it's just, and enjoy the game. There's another one from Steve. Enjoy the game. All of these things are, I mean, I guess some people don't give a monkeys and they're too inebriated to even know. But Jules says it would be nice to get a chance to go to a game full stop to be able to hear it. So, yeah, you make a good point, Jules. But it's little things, isn't it? It's little things. And these kind of things are going to, be mentioned by people in the chats. That's why we'll talk about them. Chippers, good evening. He said, do you think that Usula will play for us again, Mitch, if the rumours are true about a possible sale? I mean, it's the 7th of December, Mitch. The transfer window will be open in 3 weeks' time. And Usula has got this injury, which, we described it last week, didn't we, when Eddie given his press conference about his ankle not being right and not going the right way and all of this. I'm sure that's not a technical term, but then Eddie's not a doctor. But yeah, it doesn't look like there's going to be any sign of him. And one would imagine they're protecting them because they want to, it does sound as if the player wants to leave and Frankfurt are keen. And it sounds like that's going to be a bit of business that might be done in January.
And he uses some strange terms to describe player fitness at the minute.
Yeah.
Paul isn't quite feeling quite right in his body. Send him for some bloody Pilates and mindfulness. I don't know. The management of injuries of a player is being, taken to the point where he's going to be shown the door when he wants to go. Mind you, there's no sign of anybody wanting to go. If you look at him on his social media, that looks like somebody who's very much still integrated and part of the squad to me. Or maybe he's just professional enough to be like that and be himself still, even though he knows there may be a transfer on the horizon. Don't know. And the honest answer is, if he does go, there has to be somebody coming in.
Yeah.
Has to be. And I don't hear we're being linked with anybody at the minute.
No. Is there a Brazilian forward? The Brazilian forward that got linked apparently last week, I think.
Maybe. But that's all on the back of, the whole chat about Ross Wilson wanting to look beyond the certain boundaries and his connections with South America. So that's a very, very easy and lazy story to write, mate.
Josh King from Fulham, Samu Agehawa from Porto, Iga Thiago, of course, is another one that's been linked from Brentford. Ansu Fati, again, he was linked in the summer from Barcelona. Ryan from Vasco da Gama is the one I was thinking of. That's another striker that's been linked. Endrick from Real Madrid has been linked as well. Alexander Soloth from Atletico Madrid. Siddiqui Sherif from Angers. I see the list is not endless, I'm thankful to say. That's it. So those are the strikers that we've been linked with so far in Barry's transfer list.
Interesting. The simple answer is, though, if they are letting Willisula go, there has to be somebody coming in. That's him.
Yeah, what do you reckon, Stu? Willisula? Do you think we've seen the last of him in a black and white shirt? Do you think we'll see him again? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, mate.
I said maybe we shouldn't sign anyone because some don't give them the opportunity to bed in and find their feet and come to form. But as Mitch said there regarding Asula, he'll only be leaving if it's Newcastle United, and they would need to have a forward that they see is better. And that's, I know it's the slogan from BIF, isn't it? Invested in better. And that's what we need to do. I don't think we'll be getting people for the future, but it's a hard market to sign people to hit the ground running in January. If they're that good, a club will be reluctant to let them go. So it'll be a difficult one. We highlighted last week Ross Wilson's links with Brazil and how he's managed to do some very astute signings for Forest. So perhaps that could be a market that could explore, but not to come into the first team. I just think that we'll be in a position where, if I would imagine whoever they bring in, and I think they will bring people in, that the main work's already been done, and it's just a case of waiting for this. But again, take into consideration, we're going to have, all bar a couple of weeks and injury permitting, a brand new £55 million striker who knows the Premier League inside out. So his name's Johan Wissa.
What did you make? What did you make of him? Tom says
he should have passed quicker to Langer to make the 3-1. I said it earlier. No, but it was refreshing. It's refreshing, but he really wants to play as well, and he seemed to enjoy it. And it's from, again, watching from afar, it seemed to reignite the crowd, because the crowd, where we as fans are all we're talking now about next week. The fans in the ground that's the main thing. So it's going to happen to the players as well. But introducing, we said when he did, I think it just brought a renewed energy to the game. He is quality, and because Mitch and myself have a mutual friend who supports Brentford, we end up watching more Brentford games than would probably choose to do so. And I think he was their best frontman last season. And I know Webber got all the credit, etc. But they're both good players. But I'm happy with Wissa. I'm avoiding the question of will we sign, because then I'll end up having to have a bet and donate more money to charity. But I'm confident that we will sign people in January. But I don't think it'll be like 4 or 5. I think it'll be 1 or 2, and they'll be first team ready. And I think now with the way, if you listen to how Eddie Howe praised the new CEO, he praised Ross Wilson without criticising the people who were previously in that post. It seems to me that they've already got together and they're aligned. And the fact it's quiet, I like it. I like it when it's quiet, because we seem to do well when it's quiet, and then bang, there you go. But we're getting into silly season, and we're going to get linked probably with about 2 players every day between now and the end of January. Let's see who comes in. But I trust the process. Do I trust the club? Do I trust the manager? Do I trust the CEO? I trust the fact that they'll do their best to make us better, and that's as much as I can do as a supporter.
Just want to thank you, Stu, as well for the buying 10 of the promoter books. I did drop them off at the food bank yesterday. Much appreciated from HBK. So thank you for that.
Two charities with one donation. It's both worthy causes.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Mitch, Johan Wisser, great to see the number 9 shirt back on the pitch yesterday.
Absolutely. Neat little cameo. Should have done better, as we've already discussed in one scenario. Could have also just ran it right into the corner. Would have been the other choice for me, but hard to criticise. I think we saw enough in his little cameo to see there's a hell of a lot more to come with him in that position.
Yeah, I would agree. I saying to Bez yesterday, reminded me when he came on the pitch, because obviously I've not met him, never seen him. He looks like Rule Fox. He's built, and he's got that beaming smile that Rule used to have. And Rule was at the game yesterday.
I was going to say, he was with the Heat. He's got a photo of him together at Rule Fox.
I think Bez must have come across him yesterday, but he just reminded me so much. It was like a blast from the past, and the same build, the same stature. And looks like a cracking player. And I've got to agree, Chippers, Wisser's movement off the ball was good, made space for others, yeah. But he's come back from an injury. We can't expect miracles. I think Eddie Howe was trying to say to us, please, don't go too far. Give him time. He's, we've got to help bring him in slowly, but 100% right. Yeah, within 30 seconds of coming on, Wisser went to make 2 to 3 runs behind. I'm excited. T-Tanks, great show. Thanks for your time, lads. And the mods, take care, everyone. Lando Norris is world champion. Get in. Yes, I saw that. Wisser gets into danger zones, unlike Volta, says Steve. Alex Murphy, I think, has been on the bench 90% of the time. Yeah, and I think that will, look, at the end of the day, with Alex Murphy, he will get his game at some point, So from our perspectives, it is amazing. I've been asked by Les in the chat as well to mention hype. Got no idea what it was until recently. Apparently, the videos from our channel are like everybody else's. They have a hype button after the show has finished going out live. You can probably dot along the shows from this week. But if you've got a favourite show, hype it. You just hit the hype button. It's free, apparently. And apparently that helps us. So if you can do it, do it. It's free. It doesn't take long. Just pop onto one of the shows. Maybe pop onto the Amigos, pop onto Supermac and Gibbo and hype those shows. Give them a bit of a push. Have we got time for one more question? We have. Barry, I'm not going to speculate on who might leave because that question is good, but let's leave that until we start talking transfers. John Askew, we haven't had a question from John tonight. He says, we seem good at football at the minute. When it comes to blowing your house down, we struggle a bit. Do you agree? And if so, what's the solution? We've gone full circle. It takes us right back to the start, I think. Yeah. And let's combine it with his other question. Is it just me, or is the quality of the EPL this season a bit lower than previous ones? Well, I think it's higher. I think the standard's higher. I think teams have got their systems and they're sticking to them and they're putting themselves, anybody can beat anybody, Stu.
It depends which way you look at it. The games are more competitive, but is the standard higher in the footballing sense? Probably not. It's become more technical again. You're talking about full circles. It's went back to set plays have become more prominent this season, more so than any time I can remember, where it's really important that you have like your corners lined up and you have free kicks, this and the other. And I haven't seen the stats, but I'm sure there'll be a lot higher percentage of goals from set plays in this season than probably any in the Premier League's history. And I'll wait to be proven wrong, because I'm sure there'll be people who will take delight in doing so. But it just seems that it's been this season. But I think what's happened is the teams that have came up would offer in a better position. And I say this with the exception of Sunderland, who have actually been the ones who have overachieved most, to actually narrow the gap. And ultimately, football is about 11 players on the pitch. And if you're not scared to have a go, then you've got a chance. And I think some of the aura around certain teams has slipped, and there's formations now to nullify the opponents and sneak a win, and whether that be with a set piece or not. So I wouldn't say it's been more entertaining to watch, and that's not just Newcastle. I think that's the Premier League in general. There was the exception of the Fulham Man City game midweek, which apparently was a belter. But a game finishes 5-4. It's normally a good game, isn't it? But it's a more intriguing Premier League. It's less predictable, and in that way it becomes more enjoyable. I think for feast on the eyes footballing ability, I don't think it's been in that season. But I just think that there's too much at the moment. It goes in cycles. There was 4-4-2, now it's 4-3-3, then it's 3-4-4-3-2-1, and 4-1-3-2, and whichever formation you want. We're in a transition, but 4-3-1-2, 4-3-2. There's so many.
Just keep in.
I'm happy with where we are, but for me, it's not an exciting football season in terms of easy viewership, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Lots of questions coming in, but I haven't got time for any more. We only do 90 minutes on a Sunday. Mitch, Premier League it is competitive now.
Stu's pretty much nailed it. It's become a more tactical league, and so you're not seeing spectacular games of football. What you're seeing is two managers who've worked out how to neutralise how the other one plays better, and so it's taken. Games are now being decided either by mistakes or by single moments of brilliance.
Yeah,
that's it. You're not seeing as many, stunning games. You look at Liverpool Leeds last night.
Yeah.
Liverpool go nuts because they let Leeds back in really repeatedly. And so I think managers are finding more ways to neutralise and exploit the weaknesses of other teams rather than, going out to turn in a spectacular performance themselves. And so the focus has changed a little bit, and I think that's why you're seeing a difference. You're seeing a narrowing of the gap. The way the league between about 4th and 12th has concertinaed significantly this season. And that's why it's really important the second half of the season we go in appreciating the points we've picked up and focusing on just point accumulation. I don't care how we get the points. That's what we need to be as consistent with getting the points, and the rest will look after itself.
Yeah.
Just one thing, Steve, before we go. It was when you mentioned Alex Murphy and you said, I'm sure he'll get game time this season. I thought to myself, I don't think he will. When they're going to play him, it's not going to be in the quarterfinals. It's not going to be in the Premier League. And I thought, well, it'll be the FA Cup. This weekend, this is how traditions change. We'll go back to the photos you were showing earlier. The first Sunday in December was always when the FA Cup draw, and everyone got round the radio, and that's when it was on. I actually had to Google when the FA Cup draw was on, and that's how insignificant it is. I've just found out it's now on TNT Sports tomorrow. And it'll start at approximately 6:40 in Newcastle ball number 26. But isn't it a shame? For the traditionalists, it would have been today, right now.
For those making the draw, it's the ball which has been in the fridge.
Yes.
Let's get a quick prediction off you guys for the game on Wednesday night, Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League. What's your feeling, Stu?
One's each on Wednesday, and I'm going to be very generous to the Maccabees and say 3-1 to Newcastle on Sunday. I'll let them have a go.
Okay, Mitch?
A healthy draw in midweek. And
Yeah.
I'm going to consider my opinion about the Maccabees game over the next few days.
Get into them.
Might be a cup of tea job that to calm the nerves. We'll see how everybody is out there in
A nice cup of tea.
in NUFC Matters Land. Thanks to all the mods. Thanks to everybody chatting. Some great questions tonight. Thank you to everybody who's emailed. Please take your time tonight to go and buy the book. It's only a tenner. Get yourself on the website and help age UK No Tyneside Dementia. Thanks to everybody who supported that so far. I will be back live tomorrow night with the Fans Forum at 6 o'clock. Tuesday will be me live before I go to Germany. Wednesday we've pre-recorded Talking to Tune, and all being well, I'll be back on Thursday night to do Super Mac and Gibbo live at 6 o'clock, and the Amigos will be back on Friday at 5. Take care, lads.
Cheers, lads. Thank you for watching, everyone.